Hello YouTube. So today is November 26th, which is the 26th day of my 30 videos in 30 days challenge, using the questions from the 30 days trans challenge posted by Miserable Muse on DeviantArt. It's actually 11:56, so I'm counting this as a success since I'm actually starting to record it on November 26th, even though by the time I end, I know that I'm not going to be in November 26th anymore, and it's certainly not going to get posted by November 26th. But I'm going to call it, I'm going to say it counts anyway, because I make the rules, and that's how that works. Okay, so today's question is, do you feel comfortable answering questions about being trans if, say, your teacher, friend, stranger asked you? I mean, I make stupid internet videos talking about this exact subject. So, I mean, I think it's pretty clear the answer is yes. But in actuality, I mean, I actually don't have a problem answering questions. I think people get afraid to ask questions. Let's see. Sorry. I think people are, sorry, it is dark. It's almost midnight. Are afraid to ask questions because they're afraid of offending a trans person, which is fine, you know, as long as you're asking out of desire to educate yourself rather than, you know, to satisfy any prurient you know, like, need to know for other, any other reasons, you know. You know, I don't want to be... There are questions I won't answer, such as anything about my genitals, most medical questions. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious I'm on hormones. I don't beat around the bush around that, generally speaking. And, you know, I do want to spread knowledge and information about being trans to cis people, so I don't have any problem talking to them. It's unfortunate, though, sometimes it's awkward, sometimes, to be asked by a stranger, or to be outed. I went to a wedding recently, and, the bride came up to me at one point and asked me if I would mind answering some questions for her elderly aunt. Because clearly I was not passing as well as I thought I was. Or I was not being read as accurately as I wanted to be. Which I think is the better way to phrase that. Somebody, I just read somewhere, I don't remember if it was on BGN or if it was on Tumblr. Somebody was suggesting getting rid of passing as a term. I'm drawing a complete blank on who it was. But instead of saying passing, say being read. So it's not that I didn't pass, it's that I wasn't read the way I wanted to be. So apparently I was not being read as accurately as I was hoping to be. So her aunt, who had to be 75 or 80, the bride asked me if I would be willing to answer some questions. So, you know, my stomach just sort of dropped when she asked because, you know, that was the first I found out that I wasn't being read right that night. But she asked me to talk to her, so I did. And she was actually really sweet, and she said, you know, I have done a lot of work with, you know, for gay rights, and I do a lot of work at Lurie Children's Hospital, in Chicago, which it was formerly Children's Memorial Hospital. It's now Lurie, Robert H. Lurie Children's Hospital. Memorial Hospital, something like that. And it is one of the first childhood gender identity disorder clinics in the U.S. And she said that she does a lot of work there and volunteer and the like, and she just wanted to understand what it was to be trans a little more. You know, and I couldn't really go into a lot of it because, like I said, it was a wedding and she was getting ready to leave. By the time I was able to work up the wherewithal to actually talk to her, she was getting ready to leave. So we exchanged emails, and I owe her an email and probably a coffee date just to sort of answer her questions. But yeah, I'm willing to answer. I think it's important to state, though, that just because I am willing to answer questions, it does not mean that any trans person you meet is willing to answer questions. So the very first thing, if you are a cis person, or even if you're a trans person who just doesn't know things yet, and you're interacting with someone who is trans, the very first question you should always ask them, well, after you've you know, verified the pronouns you're supposed to be using, the very first question is, are you comfortable answering some questions? Because I want to learn more. And, you know, they have to be allowed to say no. Make sure they feel comfortable saying no. And, you know, just don't ask them anything that you wouldn't want asked yourself. Like, if you don't want to talk about what's in your pants, they don't either, okay? So, yeah. So, now I'm rambling because it's late and this is how the world works. Okay. So that's that. So I will answer questions, and that is a perfect segue for my usual end of the video spiel. If you have anything you want to say to me, you can leave me a message at my YouTube inbox, comment down below, which goes through Google Plus now. Sorry, I can't control that. If you do ask a question in the comments, make sure that you have enabled replies, and that I don't have to be your contact, or you don't have to be my contact in order for me to reply. I run into that a little bit. It's, I can't quite get my head wrapped around why this was all necessary, but it was, I guess. On Tumblr, brinconvenient.tumblr.com. Follow me there. At brinconvenient on Twitter. And as always, you can find me at the bigender.net forums at bigender.net/forum. Until tomorrow, or technically today, signing off. Love you.